What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video I'm trying the #1 top performing team from PvPoke, and it's something so unconventional and so foreign to me. An ABA formation team. Altaria, Lanturn, and Skarmory. All three Pokemon, incredibly strong in their own right. All of them have good synergies together, and today we're taking it into the Great League Meta. We have a lot of great wins, close losses, and some tough battles ahead of us, but ultimately this was a really good challenge for myself. If you guys haven't seen the top performing teams on PvPoke, there are a lot of dragons this time around. I think that's a counterweight to all of the Feraligators and new fresh water type Pokemon coming into the meta. I personally ran a Empoleon double dragon team yesterday with Shadow Dragonite. If you guys haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. Very good team. But today's team is something new, something special, and something to push the limits of my knowledge of this game. So if you guys want to give this a try, I would recommend it. But do understand, if you're used to ABB formations, this is gonna feel really awkward to you. But that's something new to try, right? So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get right into it. All right, getting into the first battle: Altaria versus Bastiodon. Here we go. So ABA teams is just so foreign to me. I decide to go into Skarmory here. Skarmory has a better matchup against the Bastiodon, and if they do in fact have Pokemon weak in the back to Flyers, they're gonna want to stay in with Bastiodon, right? So we're going to basically sacrifice the Skarmory here in order to realign switch if we can. And Skarmory right here, we're going to go ahead and go for Sky Attack. It doesn't do that much damage, but what's really nice is the Steel Wing is adding up, and getting this Bastiodon to about 50% HP is actually going to be pretty good for us. Now, obviously, we're going to have to come in with a Lanturn. Switch clocks are almost completely realigned, which is actually really good. Considering we can put Lanturn now onto Bastiodon, and then we can have Altaria against whatever they have in the back. My hope is that it's going to be counters to that, right? So they decide to stay in once again. They decide now to swap out into Lickitung. So this is starting to become an unconventional team on their side as well. They are ABA in terms of weakness to fighting. I'm ABA in terms of weakness to, like, Bastiodon, for example. So we are completely in unknown territory right now. I don't know what Pokemon number 3 is going to be, but it could be a Shadow Victory Bell. Now, we decide to bring in the Altaria right here, because if it is, in fact, if it's not Shadow Victory Bell, Lanturn is my only way to win this game. If it is Shadow Victory Bell, it's a loss anyways. So we'll have to play this the best we can. I'm going to decide to go for Moonblast here, hoping to try to get that debuff. We do get a shield as well, so we just got ourselves a 2-to-1 shield advantage. And they decide to throw the Body Slam here, which is fine. I think we would have gotten to the Sky Attack if they didn't, but Body Slam going to be taking us out. So now it is up to Lanturn. 2-to-1 shields. They swap back in the Bastiodon. This is now telling me, oh my goodness, Lanturn is actually my huge win condition. They decide to no-shield that charge move. I'm going to commit to the farm down right here. I do have to give up a shield against this Stone Edge. But if they swap Bastiodon back in and didn't swap in a Shadow Victory Bell, they don't have Shadow Victory Bell in the back. So I don't know what it can be. They bring in Lickitung, and I'm like, they must be so weak to Lanturn. Keeping this thing alive was a huge potential win condition. That's what you guys have to do in this game. They give up the final shield as well. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Double Surf, praying that it's something like Talonflame in the back. But it's Azumarill. Azumarill is something we can handle. Again, this is an unconventional team on their end. Had this been, mind you, later on we face off against the Shadow Victory Bell. Don't worry. Triple hard counters will happen with this team, but what I love about this team is the flexibility it has, the tough decisions it gives you in the moment. It's not so straightforward. I have a lead, I have a safe swap, and then I have a close. This is like, there's a real thought process to coming into these battles, and in this game, I really thought emphasizing the potential Lanturn win was huge as we take down the Azumarill, so that is going to be a good game. All right, moving to the next one, Altaria versus Shadow Dragonite. Completely opposite from Bastiodon. This is now really hard-hitting fast move damage that we're able to do against them. And what we're going to look to do is take Switch here. When you have a polarizing backline like Lanturn and Skarmory, if you can take Switch on the lead, this is what I learned from this team, you want to take it. So we're going to go ahead and take that out. We will see a Jellicent come in, which is totally fine. We have 2 good answers. The Hex went through. I'm just like, oh. I always find it kind of difficult with Dragon Breath with the flappy wings there of Altaria to time the fast move. But they swap now into Lanturn. So we see their final 2 Pokemon. It is going to be Lanturn and Jellicent. So we're going to go ahead and swap into our own Lanturn now. Because obviously we don't want Skarmory aligned to this Pokemon. We can have Skarmory aligned to Jellicent. That's going to be okay. And what we're going to look to do is try our best to save Shield. So we're going to no Shield here, and they went for the Surf instead of Thunderbolt, which is already huge for me. I now want to align even Shield, so I'm going to put pressure down with Thunderbolt. I could go for a Shield bait, but I really want to guarantee the damage or the Shield in order to have a potential win condition later on. Now I decide to go for Surf right when I get to the Thunderbolt. That way we apply more shield pressure to them, and they decide to no shield, which is fine. This makes it even closer here for Skarmory to take down the Lanturn or Altaria to take down the Lanturn. We're going to go ahead and no shield again. It is going to be another Surf on there, and this is going to allow us to get to the final Surf, and this is pivotal for us. My opponent decided to try to bait out my final shield, and I wasn't going to give it up. They give up their final shield, and now we have a win condition in front of us. It is going to be Dragon Breath down the Lanturn, paired with the Boomin' Skarmory there against the Jellicent. So they're going to go ahead and throw the final charge move, which is fine. We can come in with Skarmory now, and this is going to be a good game. Jellicent does have a lot of energy, but it's going to have to land 3 Shadow Balls in order to take us out. So we're going to no-shield the first one. It is going to be Shadow Ball, which is fine. As you can see, they need, well, actually 2 Shadow Balls, I have to say. They have to throw 3 Shadow Balls in order to take us out because I can safely shield this charge move. We're going to go for the Sky Attack here to take them out. Just in case, I know Lanturn doesn't have any energy, but I could have miscounted and maybe it had a Surf. So boom, down it goes, and then we fast move down. And that is going to be a good game, very well played. Such a different way to win these Great League battles, but overall, a lot of fun so far. Alright, moving to the next one, Annihilate here on the lead. So Annihilate, a strong Pokemon in this meta, does have access to Ice Punch, but we can put a lot of pressure down with our Altaria. So I'm going to decide to no shield here. It is going to be Night Slash as they decide to swap into Dugong now. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Skarmory. Skarmory can do well against Dugong because we're only taking neutral damage here from the Ice Shard and Icy Wind. And we do quite a bit of neutral damage right back with the Steel Wing and Sky Attack. So we're going to look to go for a Sky Attack Brave Bird combination, and then if they decide to take Switch, we're going to be loading up on energy with Lanturn. So we go for the Sky Attack, it lands, and now we're going to try to go for Brave Bird, knowing that we can easily survive this, this next Icy Wind, and then we're going to go ahead and go for that Brave Bird now when we're extremely low. This is going to allow us to KO the Dugong if they decide to no shield, but they decided to give up a shield there, so now we have the 2-to-1 shield advantage. So now I need to come in with Lanturn and load up on energy. So we're going to go ahead and do that. They decide to swap into Annihilate, so I go for the Sky Attack here now against the Annihilate, and this is where things get very interesting. I'm wondering if they just baited me out to get the Altaria onto the field for some reason. Maybe Dugong comes back in, but they have Bastiodon in the back. So now this is definitely going to be a tough game. They're obviously going to be overloading on energy when it comes to getting as many Smackdown fast moves through as possible. So I'm hoping for a debuff here with Moonblast, but we don't get it. That's what you always got to pray for with Altaria. And now it is up to Lanturn to win this game. There is a Bastiodon. We have the 2-to-1 shield advantage. Dugong has a charge move ready to go. It has a drill run, so we got to account for that. And now we're just going to start loading up on energy and going for Surfs here, as they will do super effective damage. And it should be about 2 Surfs in order to, or 3 Surfs plus the shield in order to take it down. Now, there's still a win condition on my opponent's side. And that's them catching a charge move, obviously. So we're going to go ahead and just overload on energy. I'm going to look to throw the surf here. And then what I'm going to do is, because they have another charge move ready to go, is I'm going to throw the surf, try to throw it right away on charge attack priority, but my opponent instead goes into Dugong. And so I undercharge the surf. I think I could have KO'd if I did the full charge there. I now have to shield the drill run. I'm hoping I can get enough sparks in time, but I don't have enough. Bastiodon has the Stone Edge, and that is going to be a good game. So my opponent definitely outplayed me right there. They caught the charge move knowing I would go for the back-to-back, and yeah, I fumbled that one, but good game regardless. All right, moving to the next one. Talonflame on the lead. Really nice lead here for us. If we're going to have a flyer against it, we obviously want the Altaria in this matchup, because Skarmory takes a lot of super effective damage from that Incinerate, right? So we're going to go ahead and no-shield the first charge move. It's likely going to be a fly, which is totally fine. Not too worried there. We're just going to overload on energy, make sure we throw in the middle of their Incinerate so that they're stuck and they also don't sneak through a fast move, as the Sky Attack does get a shield. So we're already looking very good right here. Talonflame could be paired with a Grass-type Pokemon in the back to make sure they have coverage to Lanturn and Bastiodon. That could be the call, so we're going to no-shield right here, and then they do swap into Registeel. So I decided to throw the Sky Attack. I should have banked this one, to be completely honest, but now I'm going to come in with Lanturn and load up on energy. If they do, in fact, have a harder counter to Lanturns in the back, maybe a Whiscash, for example, we're going to utilize the Lanturn in this matchup, right, as Skarmory could do better on the back line. So I'm going to decide to shield here. It is going to be the Focus Blast, and then we're going to go ahead and load up on energy and look to go for a surf here soon. Now my opponent threw, I felt like this was a bit early, so I decided to no-shield. I'm like, hold on. It was early. It was a Flash Cannon. So we got a free no-shield right there, as they're running Flash Cannon and Focus Blast. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Surf now to KO the Registeel. And then we get to see what the final Pokemon in the back is, and it's a Poliwrath. So this is beautiful. They decide to swap into Talonflame to try to catch the charge move, but I was just constantly loading up on energy, so good battle. Alright, moving to the next one, Altaria versus Shadow Empoleon here on the lead. So Dragon Breath still going to do a good amount of damage in this matchup. It is resisted, but that's a Shadow Empoleon, kind of glassy for the Great League. A lot of fun to use, don't get me wrong, but it can take a lot of damage from Dragon Breath regardless. So we're going to go ahead and go for Sky Attack now. This is a beautiful opportunity for us to potentially take this lead matchup from them as they decide to no-shield, and we're going to go ahead and Dragon Breath down. Now, I mentioned earlier about making sure to take Switch. I decide not to take Switch in this one, and this was a part of the learning process. I decided instead to come in with Lanturn because I was reading, oh, there's a grass in the back. I was reading the Dragon team maybe. Maybe Shadow Dragonite, maybe Goodra, stuff like that, so I'm going to need energy on Lanturn. But instead they come in with Lurantis, and they decide to not swap out. So this actually might be a double grass backline. So the ABA combination here of Altaria, Lanturn, and Skarmory, the double flyer, is paying off dividends for me as we're able to really lock down this matchup. Now, Lurantis has access to Superpower, a charge move that I know will hurt, but I'm deciding to no-shield once again. It does land, and they're deciding to stay in and go for a back-to-back. So I'm going to go ahead and give up the shield here, anticipating maybe another Grass-type Pokemon back there, but it's not. It's going to be a Shadow Gligar. So we're going to go ahead and go for Sky Attack now, just to try to get a shield and do a good amount of damage. They decided to no-shield there, so we're going to swap into Lanturn, and this is now a potential win condition for me, and that's going to be shielding the Dig right here. So I'm going to go ahead and shield it. It is the Dig, which is perfect. We're going to overload on energy, making sure we have plenty for Lurantis, because even though Lurantis is a Grass-type Pokemon, it's somewhat glassy, and it's low on health, so a Surf should be able to KO it. We do get a shield right there, from the Shadow Gligar, and this dig is going to be landing for free, right? But thankfully, it's not going to be enough to KO. Shadow Gligar can hurt a Lanturn, but it cannot one-shot from the amount of health we had, so I'm going to go for Surf now, just before they get to maybe an Aerial Ace there. And this Surf is going to be enough damage to KO the Gligar. Boom, down it goes. In comes Lurantis, and we are able to get to the Surf in time, and this should be a good game. Our switch clock is coming back up, so I'm able to swap into Skarmory if I need to, which I do, and I fast move down. Good game. All right, moving to the next one, Altaria versus Sableye here on the lead. Now, last game, it worked out for me to let the Altaria go down and come in and load up on energy. This game, it might be a little bit different, and this is why I talked about at the beginning of the video, learning about how to play this team. When you have a polarizing backline and somewhat of a neutral matchup right here, you want to take the polarizing matchup, because what I'm doing here is going for Moonblast to try to one-shot. We get the shield, so I could have gotten away with just 2 Sky Attacks, so this was a big misplay on my end, right? And this is where I really learned that I need to start taking switch advantage, because watch what's about to happen. I'm going to come in with, I believe I came in with Skarmory here, yeah. We come in with Skarmory, because this is going to force them to throw Foul Play. They won't be able to get to 2, and I didn't want to shield a return on my Lanturn, right? So we come in with Skarmory. We're going to go ahead and farm down, and now you guys are going to see the hard counter Bastiodon and Shadow Victory Belt. So I decide to surrender. This was a lesson learned. If you have a neutral lead, take switch advantage. All right, Venusaur here on the lead. They decide to swap into Clodsire, so I'm going to go ahead and load up on energy with Altaria and then swap into Skarmory here to catch the charge move. Stone Edge is the charge move that they're looking to throw. It's going to do super effective damage against Altaria, but only neutral here against Skarmory. So I decided to bank all that energy on Altaria. Hopefully that pays off for me later on, and hopefully we didn't fall too far behind here in this matchup. So Skarmory's going to go ahead and let the next one go through. They are running the Poison Sting fast move, so I know they cannot fast move farm me down at any point. I am very safe with regards to that fast move, so we're going to go ahead and just look to make sure we take switch advantage here. Obviously, with a Venusaur, we do not want it to be aligned to the Lanturn. We're going to go ahead and shield the Stone Edges. They decide to swap into their own Lanturn now, so this is going to allow me to go for a Brave Bird and maintain switch advantage right here. I'm going to have to put my own Lanturn against theirs, but we want to maintain this switch advantage and come in with this matchup. Now, because of Skarmory's Brave Bird and Steel Wing damage there, we were able to get to the Lanturn just above 50% HP, which counteracts the amount of energy that they actually just got, because now we're sitting in a very good position where I'm safe to go for Surfs, even if they decide to no-shield, right? They call the bait, they will get lower and lower on health, which is going to make it that much easier for my Altaria to Dragon Breath down. So we're going to constantly no-shield. Altaria is my win condition as we let the Thunderbolt go through, and now we're looking beautiful here. Clodsire is coming in. We're going to go ahead and look to shield the Stone Edge. This is the hardest hitting move left in the game. Lanturn's Thunderbolt will not one-shot. Venusaur's Sludge Bomb will not one-shot, and it doesn't have enough energy. So we're going to go ahead and see what they decide to come in with. It is going to be, they still have one shield, but we have double Sky Attack. It's going to be the Venusaur. So we're going to go ahead and throw the back-to-back Sky Attacks. This is the way to guarantee this win, as they decide to let the first one go through. And now I'm going to actually, I decide not to throw the back-to-back. I decide to fully Dragon Breath down. That way, I can throw the back-to-back against Lanturn, right? So the Sludge Bomb here, not enough to KO. We are going to be able to fast move down. If they have a Surf ready to go, I don't think they have enough for Thunderbolt, but Surf will still not be enough. Altaria, with that Dragon typing added to it, is going to be very good for us as we go for the next Sky Attack, and this is going to be a good game, very well played. So this team, like I said, it feels unconventional. It feels odd, but we're getting wins. That's what's fun about this team. All right, next up, we have Greninja on the lead. So Altaria obviously going to do very well in this matchup. And like I mentioned earlier, we've seen the ebbs and flows of winning and not winning lead when it comes to neutral matchups, and the payoff or the punishment because of that. So we're going to take that knowledge into this game. I'm deciding to go for hard switch to make sure. Now, I don't need to give up a shield just yet, right? This Greninja we let a water shuriken go through. This Greninja can easily lose this lead matchup to us. They decide to shield, so I'm going to go ahead and look to take down the Greninja right here, as I think we can survive. It is going to be Hydro Cannon instead of Night Slash, which we will be able to Dragon Breath down. So we take Switch right there. They come in with Credilli. So this is a beautiful opportunity. Obviously, Skarmory is going to be locking that down, and then we get to see what their Pokemon number 3 is going to be. Now, that was a risky play on my end with the Altaria looking to no-shield, but I was looking at the damage done, and sure enough, there is a Talonflame in the back, so that is going to be a good game. But just goes to show, right, taking that switch advantage. Now, the safer play for me in that lead matchup was to shield that final charge move and just ensure that I maintain switch. That is the safer play. I went for the riskier play, the better for videos play, and call that I survive. Should I have done that in order to win this game? No, I probably should have shielded because what you saw is Lanturn clearly just fast moved down. I didn't need to use a shield whatsoever. Surfs right here now are going to be applying a lot of neutral damage to the Credilli, and Skarmory as well will not need to shield. So I'm actually going to be coming out of this game with 2 shields remaining, and yeah, we could have easily used that shielding on the lead, right? Good game. All right, next one, Altaria versus Defense Form Deoxys. So again, one of those neutral matchups that we could win. We just got to watch out for Rock Slide. But they decide to throw on 5 counters. That's going to be Psycho Boost, which means I know they're switching now right away. They're not going to stay in after debuffing themselves, and they decide to swap into Diggersby. So Diggersby has a unique move set where it could take out Lanturn and it could take out Skarmory. So the play here is to actually stay in with Altaria, because all I need to do is shield the potential Hyper Beam. If it is Hyper Beam right here, I gotta stop it. I'm gonna go ahead and shield, and it was. Perfect. So now we're in a very good position to be able to maintain switch advantage. Do we need switch advantage? Do we have a hardcover Defense Form Deoxys? No, but we need switch advantage so that we can find out what that Pokemon number 3 is. It's going to be a Dugong. So I'm going to come in with Skarmory right away. This does 2 things. First of all, it forces them to have to stay in, and secondly, it forces them to throw energy. Secondly, it forces them to swap back out into Defense Form Deoxys, which gives our Lanturn a very good matchup in the end, right? So we're going to go ahead and go for Sky Attacks here. There's no reason to be going for Brave Birds, as we just want to do as much chip damage as possible. If this is Thunderbolt, so be it. But obviously, we are sitting in a very good, boom, position with our alignment right now and energy. So I'm going to go ahead and come in with Altaria. I'm going to look to Dragon Breath down because I know I can survive Thunderbolt and Psycho Boost. They have shown the movesets, but I decide instead to swap into Lanturn here. This is to get ahead on energy so that I have a better matchup against the Dugong in the back. Obviously, Dro Runs are going to hurt, but I have a Sky Attack loaded on my Altaria just in case I need it. I decide to go straight for Thunderbolts here. There is no messing around. My opponent decides to shield, and now I'm going to no-shield the first charge move. Their win condition is me shielding an Icy Wind, and it was an Icy Wind, which is perfect! So we decided no-shield, and they will decide to surrender, so that is a good game, very well played. All right. Moving into the next one, we have Altaria versus Credilli on the lead. So a matchup where we can win, but Rock Slide is something we need to be careful about. Credilli has the core breaking capabilities for this team, but it by no means can sweep this whole team, right? So we're going to go ahead and just look to go for Sky Attack. Now they swap in a Feraligatr here. And this is interesting because now with the Feraligatr safe swap, you got to start questioning what is in the back. My guess is another water. Just because we see Credilli lead, we see Feraligatr, a second water makes sense. Now, what water is it? Well, there's a few that it could be from a meta, like a meta use case, right? Lanturn, Whiscash, Poliwrath are some of the 3 that I'm looking at right here, where I'm like, okay, it could be one of those, all of which Lanturn can do well against, and Skarmory can do decent against, but it's actually a Skeletor. So, completely throws everything off the table about what I was thinking. This is why, when I say you're trying to team read, you have to take your best guess and figure out what is going on, but Lanturn still has a great matchup right here, so we're going to go ahead and bring that in. We're going to no shield. There's no reason to be shielding a Shadow Ball in this matchup just yet, because it's not going to be enough to KO. They swap in the Cradily, so we're going to go ahead and bring in that Skarmory and look to aggressively farm down with Steel Wing. It does do super effective damage, which is really nice. Rock Slide as well, not enough to take us out. So we are just going to farm down, and this is going to be a good game. You gotta be asking the Skeletors, how do you want to go down? Brave Bird or another Brave Bird or a Surf? Like, choose your poison. So I know I set us up for Brave Birds, but I instead decided to go for Sky Attacks. This is because of the Incinerate damage that could be coming through. They're going to go ahead and no shield right here. Risky play by them, but all right, good call. We're going to go ahead and go for another Sky Attack. This is going to get the final shield from them. And unfortunately, this Skeletor just doesn't have enough energy in order to win this game, because they're going to have to throw a Disarming Voice and a Shadow Ball in order to take me out. So I'm going to go ahead and shield. It is going to be Disarming Voice, and now we can just Spark down, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Alright, moving into the final battle. Altaria versus Chargebug on the lead. Okay, Chargebug leads pretty decent for Dragon Breath right here, and they swap into Skarmory, so we're going to go ahead and lock that down with Lanturn. Now, with Chargebug lead and a Skarmory safe swap, they got to have an answer for a Bastiodon somewhere, and that's going to be Pokemon number 3. My hope is that's the case, right? And if it's an answer for Bastiodon, my hope is that it's a fighter, right? Because of our flyer backline, or a grass. That could be really nice as well. So we decided to go for Thunderbolt. They decide to shield. And I'm like, wow, very unconventional shield there. We're going to go ahead and go for the Surf now, because they wanted to invest 1 shield. Maybe they invest 2, and they did. This is huge for us. We can easily take Switch right here by just sparking down. I don't need to give up a shield just yet. They'd have to land 2 Brave Birds, but I decided to shield anyways. And the reason being is I thought they might be extremely weak in the back, but they actually instead swap in a Whiscash. Now, I had talked about not needing to give up a shield there, how, I don't have to shield the Sky Attack, I don't have to shield the Brave Bird because I can easily survive it. But the point is, if your opponent is double shielding a matchup like that, there is typically a reason to that. So I started to think, okay, maybe there was a Talonflame in the back, but instead it was Whiscash, which obviously really nice matchup here for Altaria with Dragon Breath. There's still the Chargebug that we have to deal with, but Chargebug takes a lot of neutral damage from Surf and Sky Attack, so I think we're sitting pretty good, especially with the shield advantage that we do have. So we're going to go ahead and let that Scald go through. We're going to try to Dragon Breath down. They swap in Chargebug, which is fine. The Sky Attacks here are going to be chunking some health. Chargebug may have the electric typing, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough as we go ahead and go for the back-to-back Surfs, and this is going to be a good game. So Altaria and Lanturn really putting in the work for me. Didn't really need the Skarmory this game, but that is a good game, very well played, as the Whiscash is going to go ahead and come in. They're going to get to the, well, they won't get to it, but yeah, good battle. Oh, Skarmory comes in here at the end, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and let this go. I think we survive, and this is what I mentioned earlier. We don't need to shield because, look, we easily survive. So, good game. All right, that was the final battle. This team overall, I thought was actually really strong. I found that, like I said at the beginning, if you're in a neutral matchup, so like the Sableye, the Greninja, you want to take hard switch advantage so that you have alignment. Because if you don't, like I didn't with the Sableye game, I was facing off against Bastiodon Shadow Victory Bell in the back. Had I taken hard switch, we would have had Skarmory to Shadow Victory Bell and Lanturn to Bastiodon. That would have been very, very good for us. So overall, this team was very strong. It's gonna test you, right? It's gonna be pushing the limits of your game knowledge. I wouldn't say it's a straightforward team that you can easily pick up and run, because it's gonna require you to make predictions or calls in order to win some games. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. The team was a lot of fun, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.